When it comes to providing medical care in these sort of situations, it's worth thinking about this if you are in a police, law enforcement, or even a military type role or a military medical role, because the psychology behind it is quite interesting. So, what's required here is a transition from use of force, in this instance, use of lethal force, and then to switch almost immediately into the provision of care, and in this instance, provision of life-saving care. And so those two things are pretty opposite on the spectrum. There's this one that requires a very aggressive mindset and the psychology of aggression to be able to escalate force and use the appropriate force to neutralize the threat and render that scene safe. And so in this instance, that's use of lethal force. But then within moments, once that threat is neutralized, you need to assess and start to intervene as required to provide life-saving care. And in this setting, in a scenario on a person who was just potentially trying to kill those officers. So that transition's not a natural one. It requires a real dramatic switch between that aggressive psychology and that caring psychology. And it's a pretty unique one. There's not a lot of occupations where you need to do this. Certainly policing, law enforcement, military are all required to think about this. Maybe correctional officers might need to use force and then transition to that provision of care. But it's something that you need to think about. And if you're in one of these roles, you need to train for. You need to build these casualty scenarios into your training and start to program that mindset of transitioning immediately from use of force to neutralize a threat to then providing care to potentially save the life of that threat. So it is unique, but it is there for you if you train for it. So build those scenarios into your training and make sure that you're familiar with that requirement to transition your mindset and then have the skills and the equipment to be able to intervene in that life-saving care.